Hey everybody, we'll wait and Paul, you're the first one in. How incredible! Great to see you. Oh gosh, how are you doing, Bill? See that you're there. What's going on? Great to have everybody here this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hi everybody. Wanted to talk for just a minute because we've talked about distinction and what that means and differentiation and all of those kinds of things. And so what I wanted to do is to just take a minute this morning and use this, it's morning in Las Vegas, and just take a minute to explain the difference of differentiation and distinction. Because as you seek to grow your business, I want to suggest that distinction is where you want to be, and don't settle for mere differentiation, and why that's so important. So, hey, good evening, Paul. Great to see you. So let's imagine that you're going to go in and purchase a new laptop, which is kind of appropriate today with Microsoft for the first time launching their bit of. Oh, I'll do that in a minute, Marilyn. That's great. We'll talk about that in just a second. Microsoft's launching a brand new laptop, right? The ultimate laptop is supposedly coming out today. So here's one of the challenges that they face. You may face this in your business, but let's talk about what it means. So imagine that you're going into a store, an electronic store, and you're going to look at buying a brand new laptop. You're going to see some, if we think of it as being a pyramid, you're going to see some down here at the bottom, right? And this is what I'm going to call sameness. Now, by sameness, what I mean is you can't tell the difference between one and the other. So why would you buy an Acer over an Asus? I don't know. Right? I mean, both of them work just fine. Both of them have the same Intel chip inside of them. Both of them have the very same thing. And hey, Mark, I look forward to hearing what you say about your Surface Book, because I'm reading about it. I'm kind of a Mac guy, but it really does interest me in looking at it, because it really seems like a terrifically made laptop. So as you walk in the store, you're going to see Fujitsu, and you're going to see NEC, and you're going to see Toshiba, and you're going to see Acer, and you're going to see Asus. And when you're down here at the bottom in sameness, to become a customer, and I think about this, anytime that you become a customer, you have to make a choice. That sounds pretty obvious. But what happens is, in most of us in business, we think about people choose us. And that's not exactly it. They choose us instead of the other options that are out there. And so what we have to do is to be the most appealing option. Well, if you're down here, right, the only way you can be the most appealing option is to be cheaper, to have a cheaper price, because customers can't tell a difference between you and the competition. Hey, Darren, thank you for that. Look who's talking now. My gosh, nobody makes the process of speaking more simple and easy to understand as you do. So that's a great compliment, especially coming from you. I appreciate it, buddy. So here's the problem. If this is where you are, if what you're doing is a me too, then the only way that you have a competitive advantage is to be cheaper, but also then the only way you can maintain that advantage is to continue to be cheaper. Okay? So then here's the middle, which is differentiation. I'm trying to write and talk at the same time here. Differentiation. Now, here we think about, and somebody just posted a comment and I missed it. I'm sorry when my back was turned. Here's the problem with differentiation, is that this is a part that some people misunderstand. Here I'm thinking of Sony because of the design of their laptop. I'm thinking of HP with the printers and peripherals. I'm thinking of Dell because it's built to order, and Microsoft too is coming in here. Now, Bill, you got it exactly right. It's a race to the bottom if there's no meaningful difference. Is price only an issue in the absence of value? No. The challenge is price becomes less of an issue the farther up the pyramid we go, right? So price is still an issue here, but it's not as big of an issue down here because I see other compelling reasons why I would choose you instead of the competition. When I walk in that store, I picture I'm probably going to have to spend a few more dollars for a Sony or for a build-to-order Dell that's exactly my specifications than I would the Fujitsu sitting there pre-made, right? So the differentiation reduces the price sensitivity. But here's where a lot of folks misunderstand. To move up, it has to be a differentiation that's meaningful to the customer. If it's not, then your differentiation has no traction, has no value. So when people say different is better than better, I respectfully disagree. It's only better if it's something that causes a meaningful reason for me to want to buy your product. But then when you get up here to the top, this is where distinction is. And what distinction is when we get to that point that this reason, this difference becomes so compelling that it attracts customers. Hey, Mark, there's a great example, right? I mean, Bose, there's 1 million speakers that I can buy. There's 1 million headphones I can buy. I just bought a set of Bose. Why? Because this, right? Now, do you have to be high priced to be up here? No. I mean, Southwest Airlines, I think everybody would agree in the United States, is the distinctive airline, but they're not necessarily the highest priced. It's that something about what you do has become so compelling that you move to the top of the pyramid. So Apple, of course, is who I'm thinking of here, Southwest. I mean, these companies become cliches, but I think oftentimes we haven't analyzed why they get to that point. Now, Marilyn Sherman, my friend, mentioned there was somebody I posted about that was doing the, posted about here's what we do to create distinction. What do you do to create distinction? And I mentioned in this post that I did, if that's what you're talking about, you've proven you're not distinctive. And I got some folks that were, hitting back about, can anybody really own a word? Can you own distinction? And here's the deal. I don't think you can own it from a legal property sense. There's two ways that we can use the word own, and I don't mean to sound like Bill Clinton debating how we define is, but there's a couple different ways we define the word own, right? Own could mean I own property, or I own my computer, or I own, own something. I don't think you can own a word in that sense. But there's another way that you can use the word own, and it's like Marilyn says, the space around the topic, and we could even broaden that definition, I think, a little bit. Marilyn say there's something that the market has generally agreed that that's your space. And so, one of the things I wrote about in the first distinction book I did, how JetBlue became more successful than other low-fare carriers because they didn't do exactly what Southwest was doing. When United Airlines started TED and when Delta started Song, they tried to do exactly what Southwest was doing. JetBlue took a little bit different approach, and that different approach helped them create space in the marketplace because they said, look, they said, look, Southwest owns telling jokes on the flight and they own the kinds of things that they do. What can we own in the sense that the marketplace generally recognizes that's your space? Well, and when you think about here, right, that's what that all means, is that what space are you going to own in the marketplace? Now the problem, and I say this respectfully and humbly, I hope, is that if I had a CEO of one of the top 100 companies on the Fortune 500 introduce me for my speeches last week in New Orleans, and he said, he's Mr. Distinction. Now, I love that. I wanted to cry when I heard that because, it means that, 10 years of working on this topic gets you to the point that the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world says, this is yours. Well, so it seems to me the worst spot, and I mean this to help somebody else, not just to, mark my territory. The worst spot you could be is trying to play in a space that somebody else owns. So either create your own, not that I own talking about competitive differentiation in the marketplace. There's a lot of folks that talk about that. Matter of fact, Joe Calloway has this brand new book that's going to be coming out very soon called Magnetic. And it talks about, in that same space, Joe and I, but he has a very unique approach and a very different aspect. Thanks, I appreciate that, Paul. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do, regardless of what your business is say, this is what the marketplace is going to be that we're going to own. And sometimes you have to define that. Yeah, exactly, Marilyn. I hope that's the case. So, one of the things that I did through the help of a buddy of mine, Ford Sakes, who's a great speaker and marketing consultant and everything in Wichita, we sat down and we compared terms by Google searches. In other words, what were people looking for that there weren't a whole number of things that were also responding. A lot of people search motivational speaker, but you've also got a lot of people claiming to be a motivational speaker. Where are there the disparities, right? And so that was one of the spots that we found in our early research, was there's a huge disparity between the people that were looking for information about how to be distinctive in the marketplace and people that were talking about it. And Ford sat there and said, man, you were onto something. This is many years ago. Oh, there's a great example, Paul. I'm a life coach. Now, see, if you can't come up with something more creative or innovative than life coach, then you have to understand why you're going to be down here. Now, don't get me wrong. There's groups, there's individuals, there's organizations making a lot of money down there. I mean, it's just that, as opposed to a death coach. The thing of it is, there's a lot of money being made there at the bottom if that's the game that you want to play. But don't play this game thinking this is going to happen. You with me? I mean, don't say I'm a life coach and then wonder why this isn't happening. So carve out your unique piece of the marketplace. Maybe all it's doing is redefining the issue. And frankly, that's what I'm working on my next book, is talking about how things have changed in terms of what we do there and where the value is placed and why there's so much value being placed up here. But the key for you right now is to think about how you are going to move up the pyramid. I got to share a little bit with you, and I'm going to do another video soon talking about this, but just kind of in closing today. Yeah, you are, Paul. Absolutely. You are achieving that. And we look for the silver bullet or the overnight, not you particularly, but I think most people look for the overnight immediate result. And riches and niches, absolutely. That's exactly right, as Steve says. And he has become famous for saying that, right? I mean, there's a point of, meaningful distinction for Steve Siebold. But part of my problem was my own business. I mean, I was in a difficult spot. I was having a difficult time, with a financial challenge several years ago. Personal situations had happened with the passing of my wife, and medical bills to pay and taxes to pay and things I'm still paying on. And I started calling people who were booking me for speeches, and they said, when we book you, Scott, we say you're a good speaker and a nice guy. Well, how many good speakers? Don't get me wrong, I want to be a nice guy, right? And I want to be a good speaker. But how many good speakers, nice guys and gals, are out there? So what I had to do was to find out for my own business what I could do to stand out and what I could do to rise up the pyramid. I hadn't even developed the pyramid yet, but do that somehow in the marketplace. And so that's how all this got started. I mean, I had an individual personal need to make this happen for my own business, and that was the genesis of all this. The funny thing was, as I started looking at how I did it for my own business, I discovered how more businesses are doing this, and there you go. Paul, one of the things, that's a great point. I think one of the things that's going to happen is, you're going to have to accept that there are always going to be some people who just think you're lucky. And it shows how much they know. I've had that happen over the weekend. Somebody said, boy, you are so lucky. I wish I could just get up there and talk like that. Yeah, well, it's true, Marilyn. It's good speaker, jerk. That was not the branding I wanted either. Yeah, there are always going to be those people who think that you just lucked into this. It was the roll of the dice. But you're right. The harder you work, the luckier you get. The old saying here in the States is the Abraham Lincoln thing about luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. And I think there is some random, opportunity. But and I always hate talking about this because I don't want to sound like the typical speaker telling you how many speeches they're doing and all that kind of stuff. But we've already booked 4 dates, 4 speeches off the speech I did last week. Now, is that lucky? I was fortunate to get a chance to speak in front of such a impactful, powerful group, but it's hard work and preparedness. Now, yeah, what happens is when you work so hard and the preparedness comes along. When McGraw-Hill approached me about doing the book about Taxi Terry, to have a big publisher come to me and say, would you write a book? Man, that was super fortunate. I felt very fortunate, lucky to get that. But one of the things my wife Tammy is constantly talking about is she says, I want us to say fortunate and eliminate the word luck. Because luck is here in Vegas and you get a royal flush, right? That's just luck. That's just good fortune. This is luck. But when you say you're fortunate, it means that there have been a fortunate set of circumstances, but yet you were prepared and ready, right? So I had to go through hell to create this, but on the other side, it's pretty cool, and I hope the same for you. Well, see you tomorrow. I just wanted to share that idea about the pyramid with you. Here's another question. Never have hit that royal. I know the feeling, Marilyn. The more prepared you are, the luckier you get. Bill, truer words were never spoken, you know? So I want to share the pyramid with you, but the other challenge I want to make to you today is, where are you on that pyramid? I mean, honestly, right now. Because what I had to do was to honestly assess, man, I was there, right? I mean, I was there. And how do you work your way up? Transferable theories, yes. I mean, this is a theory that works. I use laptops as an example because it's a universal example. But, you know, I can talk about tires, right? Tire stores. I can talk about, right? So getting, as a speaker, as an author, one of the best things you can do is to get these universal concepts that you can brand as your own, and then leverage that through the research you do about the specific aspects of other businesses. It'll work for you. All right. Hey, been on too long. Thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Great to see everybody. Hope you have an awesome day, and look forward to talking again soon.